when things are going bad, don't get all bummed out, don't get startled, don't get frustrated. If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another Iron Will podcast with me, Shane Warner, and
John Chase.
So what this podcast is all about is we are trying to get stories from people that have been through a traumatic experience in their lives and came out a different person.
Yeah, they have all created an iron will. So what is an iron will? A burning determination that cannot be stopped or hindered by anything. Willing to do anything to get a desired outcome. Extremely resilient. So what we like to say is just keep punching.
Yeah. So sit back and relax, and we're going to start the show. You ready?
I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
Okay, right on.
So today we have Sophie Spataro on the podcast with us, and how I got connected to Sophie was through Kevin Hooker. And
good old Kevin.
Yeah, and Kevin's coming through again. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate Kevin for introducing me to Sophie, because like that's where I think we get the best interviews from is
referral.
Yeah, referral.
That's awesome.
And so Sophie is a 5-year Army vet that went through some crazy stuff in the Army.
And we'll get to hear that, I'm sure.
Yes.
We'll get to hear all that.
And we're going to talk to her about some of her hardest struggles, like in life in general, and how she overcame them. So I want to start this podcast off by asking Sophie about the mistakes she made with drugs and alcohol when she was younger, and how she found herself in trouble with the law, and what happened with that.
Oh, okay. So I was probably 16 the first time I tried any kind of drugs. Mm-hmm. It started off with just like marijuana, smoking joints before school, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Typical kid.
Yeah. Then I had met a guy, and he was into crystal meth, and it was kind of a new type thing.
Yeah.
And so
that's a hard thing, like going directly from smoking marijuana to crystal meth.
Totally different
I feel
drugs.
Like that's
right. So we messed around with that for a little while, and it got kind of weird where I was like selling my stuff just to have money to go get some.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I kind of looked at myself in the mirror and realized that I wasn't the same person anymore. And so I had talked to my mom, and I told her, look, I need to change schools, because if I keep staying where I'm at.
So this was in high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I told her, I was like, if I keep staying where I'm at, I'm going to keep going down this path. I need to get away from this situation. So
that's really good.
Recognize that.
That's really good. You recognize that early.
Mm-hmm.
I've always kind of had an ability to do that. It seems like, because I did that in high school, and then once I changed schools, I did really well. I lettered in academics my junior year, so it went from like failing classes to getting straight A's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And this was in Denver? Denver,
yes,
right?
Sir.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. I met my first husband. I've been married 3 times, but third time's a charm.
All right.
So I met my first husband when I was probably like almost 18. And things were great. You know, I thought he was the love of my life. And, you know, we just kind of got absorbed in each other. And I didn't really notice the red flags because, you know, when you're in love, you just, everything's great.
And when you're younger, I feel like those red flags, maybe you've never experienced them before.
It's easy to overlook them, when you're young like that.
Right. So I was with him. We were together a total of 8 years, married 2. And it wasn't always the best. He never worked. I did all the cooking, the cleaning. At a couple points,
was he a drug dealer?
He was.
Okay.
He was very heavily into that.
Yeah.
And so of course I was too. Again, found myself in that situation. We moved back in with his mom and dad because she had got diagnosed with cancer, and she was the major breadwinner in the household. So we moved in with his parents to try to help her alleviate some of the stress of being sick and not being able to work so much.
Yeah.
Right.
She went downhill really quickly, and they weren't prepared for it. And so it ended up in the house was me and my husband, his brother, his wife, their child, and the father. And towards the end, the mother was in hospice.
Okay.
So I was, at this point in our relationship, I was being very controlled. He would tell me when I could go to work, when I couldn't. Like if I tried to go to work, he'd call my boss and be like, she's sick today.
And you were the breadwinner of that situation. And so it's almost like a double-edged sword because he's screwing himself out of the money and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right, exactly. So, I'm not proud looking back at it, but I wouldn't change it because it kind of got me set in a good direction. Well, that's
what made you who you are. Like, you said when you got in trouble with drugs and alcohol that your probation officer really changed your life.
Yeah, it did. So I ended up, taking money from my work. And when it was just, I wasn't even using it to do anything bad or illegal. The money I was taking, I was using to buy food for us so we didn't starve and, just basic necessities, because I was the only one in the household that was able to work.
And he was using your money for like other stuff.
Yeah. And so what happened, how I got caught was, the mother-in-law died, and it happened in front of us because she was in hospice. And so when she was passing, we were all around her, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to witness. Somebody, just going through so much pain and agony, and then all of them going through the pain of losing their mom. That's a whole nother level.
For sure.
But I took a week off to just kind of help them with the arrangements and everything. And apparently the stuff that I was doing every day to get a little $20 here, $30 there, it completely stopped, and that raised some red flags. And so when I went back to work, they were waiting for me.
Oh, okay.
I got arrested and taken to jail and booked, but unfortunately, my family, a lot of them are with the Denver Sheriff's Department, so they have friends in some high places, and I was able to get released on my own recognizance. And when I went to court, they gave me a deferred judgment, so I had to complete this probation for 2 years, and if I did and I didn't get in any more trouble, then they would just dismiss the case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where I met my probation officer, and he was tough, but he really opened my eyes.
Sorry, but how old were you at this time? Did he say?
Oh, I would say I was like 21, 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's still a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going through probation. I have to be sober, of course.
Right.
And I can't fail any drug screenings. I have to have a job. And I was just working, little gas station jobs or delivering pizzas or just whatever I could find.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, well, why don't you go back to school? And he kind of pushed me in the right direction. And I noticed how much better my life, my emotions and everything were feeling from it. So,
Yeah.
And did you kind of feel trapped, like with your husband? I mean,
oh yeah, I had to get his permission to enroll in school first.
yeah.
Wow.
And then he had to drop me off and pick me up because he wanted to make sure I was actually going to go to school and just not making it up.
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous.
Yeah. That's
People that have
crazy.
trust issues like that are typically the ones that have something to hide.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I didn't know what to do because I had let it go for too long before I realized what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he had successfully cut me off from everybody. Like all I had was him. I wasn't even speaking to my family really, except for my cousin. And that's because she was married to his brother. So that was really the only family contact I had.
Oh, wow.
But he did let me go to school and he let me get a second job because the one part-time one I had wasn't cutting it. So I could go to school or I could go to work.
I was just going to say, how about you work, buddy? But
Yeah. He always blamed it on he having seizures and, medical issues and this, that. There was always an excuse why he couldn't work.
Yeah.
But I'd work in the morning I'd go to my first job from 6 until 8. And then because it was cleaning pools during the summer, and then I would go to my other job from 8 to 5. And then I'd work a third job 4 days a week.
And that's
from
hard work,
6
isn't
to
it?
10.
Like
Oh, yeah.
cleaning pools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So at one time I was doing 3 jobs and going to school full time, just more so to keep myself out of the house away from him,
Yeah.
but also to support our family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know how that part feels. I did that in college as well. 3 jobs plus college plus family.
Yep.
Yeah,
And you feel like you're never home.
And you're never asleep.
Yeah, and never asleep. Yeah, I'd get home at like midnight, and then I'd be out the door by 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just, the days would just...
Super hard.
Oh, it is. But at least I had an overall feeling of like, I wanted to be home. That's the thing. You know what I mean? I knew that there was an end in sight.
Yeah. And you, on the other hand, like...
It's like a trap.
Yeah, you felt trapped. And
That's hard.
So I ran into some old friends from high school when I was working at one of my jobs, and we had planned to go out for coffee. And this is kind of where everything started to spiral out of control in my first marriage. Because my husband and his brother drove to Wyoming to visit family for the week.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I'm just going to go meet my friends for coffee and do something normal. So he had found out about it somehow. And he drove all the way back home, drug me out of the coffee place and made this huge deal about it. And that's when I was like, you know what? Excuse me.
Yeah,
I need some space. I was like, I just need some time to think. I'm going to go stay with the girl that I go to school with. And just sleep on her couch for a couple of days. That's all. I just need to think about some stuff. And that's when it got really crazy because he realized he wasn't in any kind of control.
Was he violent?
Yes, towards the end he was. Like grabbing my arm and yanking me.
Psychopath.
Throwing things at me from across the room and trying to pin me down or choke me.
This is the type of stuff that really pisses me off.
Oh, dude, it enrages me.
I'm sorry you had to go through that, but it was valuable lessons learned on who to trust.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. The part that really kind of opened my eyes, I was at the house. I was just trying to pack a little suitcase of some stuff to go get away for a couple days, and he kept throwing the stuff out of my bag. and I could